Hello everybody, it's ranking time with Phantasm, and today we are ranking Calamity bosses, the ones that can make you go insane if you are playing on the wrong mode. Here we have a tier list. The S tier is for the bosses that I love the most, and the D tier is for Ravager, straight to hell. Okay, so starting with the Desert Scourge, the first worm boss out of a lot of them. We got the Desert Worm, the Crimson Worm, the Aquatic Worm, the Space Worm, another Space Worm, yet another Space Worm with cool music, this motherfucker, and Jared. Yeah, the Desert Scourge is the first boss you get to fight in Calamity. I really like the fact that it's a desert boss since Vanilla doesn't have any of them. This boss is not hard at all and you can fight it before King Slime, allowing you to get stuff from the Sunken Sea later on. I don't really have anything bad to say about this boss except the fact that it's a worm boss. I guess it's an A. Yeah, it's an A for now. Moving on, we have Crabalon, a boss fight in the Mushroom biome. Again, cool biome choice since Vanilla doesn't have any bosses here. This time we have a tank boss, which is not that hard. You can get some pretty cool items from Crabalon, such as the Fungicide and the Rage upgrade if you're playing on Revengeance or Death. I will also put this in the A tier, next to the Desert Scourge. Now, Hive Mind, the Corruption hard boss if I could say so. I really like the tune for this boss, it fits perfectly with the fight. The fight is not that easy, but with some practice and patience it can be easily done. It looks how a corruption enemy should look, so yeah, again, nothing bad to say here, another A tier boss. Next up, the Perforators. Now this one is a bit annoying if you ask me. I don't really like the tune either, even though it fits with the boss. I really hate the worms that spawn during this boss fight. Also, this is not the fight that you would do before getting better gear such as Hellstone armor or I don't know, jungle armor with a really good mage weapon. I will put this as a B tier, then I might move it to C later. Slime God, instant C because nowadays you only get to fight the Crimson and Corruption slimes and not the small bot that is the Slime God itself. I really love that phase where that Slime God dashes into you. It was really cool and challenging. Now we are moving on to hard mode bosses and we are starting with Cryogen, a nice team boss. Again, cool biome choice since we only have Deer Clops in Vanilla. It's the perfect boss that you could fight at the beginning of hard mode since it's not that hard except for the last phase where it gets a bit challenging. I think this is an S. The tune is cool, the visuals are even cooler, the drops and the items from Permafrost are not bad either, so yeah, S tier. The Aquatic Scourge is another worm boss, but I really like this one, I don't know why. I really love the tune for this one, I used to listen to it a lot in the past. The drops that you get from this boss are so good. The Seal Ring is just amazing, you can use it to defeat the Max, Calamitas, Plantera and even the Leviathan. I guess this is yet another S tier above Cryogen. Next up, the Brimstone Elemental. This one is not as cool as the others, but still better than the Perforators. The drops are good though, so I'll put this as a B tier and move the Perforators to C. Now, the Calamitas clone. This one got some cool reworks in the last few years, but still has the AI from the twins. The tune for Calamitas is one of the best ones, big ups Dokuro. Also, the time you fight this boss is probably perfect. It's near the middle of the game and you can fight it before Plantera with ease, but you can also fight it right after with some better weapons. The drops from it are cool, but it's the Ashes of Calamity which are important, since these are used to craft a lot of items a bit later. This is an S tier for me, but only when talking about Calamity without Infernum, Anahita and the Leviathan, the Beauty and the Beast. I really like these ones. The fact that you can fight this early in hard mode makes it even better, because if it happens that you defeat it, you get some really good weapons that will carry you for a long while. I guess it's yet another S tier boss since it's not that hard either. Next up, Ostrom Orios, another tank boss which has similar behavior to Crabalon. However, this one shoots lasers and deals a lot of damage. I always found this boss way harder than all of the others if fight during this stage. At least it drops some cool weapons as well as the second adrenaline upgrade in Revengeance or Death. I wanted to put this as a C tier, but since the tune is so good, I will put it in B. Next up, the COVID Queen Bee. This one has some cool attacks as well as a pretty nice tune. This was a boss that I really used to hate before, but it was because I was fighting it on the surface and back in those days it would enrage like hell if done so. I will put it in the A tier for now, but I might move it to B. Now we have Ravager. Done. It's been almost 4 years since I started playing Calamity and since fighting it for the first time I hated it, so yeah, it's self-explanatory. Moving on to Ostrom Duos, another worm boss. Remember the time when 7 of these would spawn at the same time? Good old times. But I am not complaining about this one either. I really like the fact that you can fight this boss before Cultist as well, so you can get some really cool weapons. Honestly, I cannot decide between it being an A or an S, but since I have some really bad memories with it, it's gonna be an A. That was it for the hard mode stage. Now it's time for the Dons, the post-Mulor bosses, the ones that can get your hair white by the time you get 80 years old. Starting with the Chicken Bites, which are an instancy because at least they got a bit nerfed in the last update, before they would be such a big pain in the ass. Then we have the Dragon Folly, which is pretty easy and can also be defeated before Moonlord. can also get the last rage upgrade and some pretty good weapons. I will put this as a high A. Now, the entire KFC that is Providence. Oh god, I don't even know how to start. This was the bane of my existence the first time I fought it in my life. Then, I got used to it and it became one of the easiest and coolest bosses to defeat. I really love the fact that it has a night version as well, which is way harder. The tune is also a huge banger if you ask me, so yeah, S tier, not top because of how much time it took me to defeat it for the first few times. Back to yet another worm. I love the fact that this fight has some new elements added like the tornadoes and these beams. Before it was just charging and some lightnings. Nothing special otherwise, so I will put it in the B tier. Next up, Ceaseless Void. Oh boy, how many reworks I got to witness for this one as well. It probably has the best version right now. What I hate about this is the fact that I have to dig a really big arena in the dungeon and that takes some time. I guess it's another B. To end with the Sentinels, we have Cygnus. Again, nothing special, so it would be a shame not to put it in the same tier as the other two, right? Now, we have Ghost Plantera, the Poltergeist. For this one you can use the arena from Ceaseless Void, so that's convenient. I like the tune for this one as well. The drops are not bad either, since some of the weapons can be used to kill the next boss, the Old Duke. Oh, by the way, this is an A. What about the Old Duke? Well, I don't really like this one because of the predictive AI that is so good. It is a pretty hard boss if you ask me, but the good part about it is that you can skip it and do the Devourer of Gods instead. I'll put this as a C tier. Oh boy, finally getting to the dawns of Calamity Mod, starting with the Devourer of Gods, a cosmic worm that is so big requiring you to build a sky bridge with the size of the entire world. This boss fight is incredible, but you have no idea how annoying this can get in the second phase when this happens. I absolutely hate this. However, I have something good to say about this boss fight. It has a banger of a tune. B tier. Jungle Dragon Yaron. Instant C. It cannot get any better than this. You get closer and closer to the final boss, you know the end is near and this dragon tries his best to stop you. His attacks are so good and the tune helps a lot. Definitely top S. Now, the Exomax. If only I could rank them separately so I could put this motherfucker in the D tier and the others in the A tier. I like how this fight goes. It starts with you choosing between the three of them, then as you deal damage to the first one, the other twos come, and then after dealing some more damage, you get to fight all three of them, which is the hardest part for me. Then, I usually get to fight Ares and kill it, remaining only with Apollo, Artemis and Thanatos. From there, I just pray not to die to Apollo and Artemis. Thanatos is easier to defeat, especially with true melee. I will put them in the A tier. Moving on to the last boss, Supreme Calamitas, the witch that does everything in order to stop me. This fight is an absolute masterpiece. It starts with you being encapsulated, then having to dodge a lot of projectiles. As the fight starts, you have to take down the Brimstone Hearts in order to kill the Sepulture, which looks disturbing nowadays. Then the rest is history. You have another bullet hell, another bullet hell, another bullet hell with the brothers, another bullet hell, then these Brimstone monsters spawn and start chasing you, then there is another bullet hell with the Soul Seekers. Then guess what? Another bullet hell followed by another Sepulture phase. The music changes as the fight goes on and the lyrics are related to what happens or what's going to happen. An absolute masterpiece of a fight. Even though it's really hard, it's gonna be an S below Yaron. Now, you thought that I was over with this, right? We still have Jared. How can anyone forget about Jared? How can everyone forget the first time they went to the dungeon and got jumped by the Dungeon Guardian? Imagine you go to the Abyss in hard mode and you have the Rod of Discord. You want to get lower and lower, but faster. Imagine using this amazing item. This is how the adult Eidolon worm spawns. The first time I heard about this boss, it used to be almost impossible. Then it kinda went from impossible to unfair, and with Infernum making it an actual fight, people started to fight this super boss more. Up to this day, I still didn't manage to defeat it, but who knows what will happen in the Infernum run. I'll rank this as a C and not D just because of the fact that it got reworked up to a point where you can actually fight it despite it being incredibly hard. That was it for this ranking session. This is the tier list for the Calamity Mod bosses. You can make your own list by using the link from the description. Now, if you want to see more tier lists like this, be sure to leave suggestions in the comments, I will check them. Until next time, see ya!